After the age of 60, the body does not suddenly break, it begins to tell the truth. What doctors discover is not decline, but clarity, a body that no longer hides stress, poor habits, or neglect. Every stiff joint, every restless night, every slow recovery is not a failure, but a message. Science shows that aging is not a switch that turns off health, but a shift in how the body asks to be treated. Those who learn to listen grow stronger, clearer, and more independent, while those who ignore the signals mistake communication for collapse. After the age of 60, the body begins to communicate in a clearer and more direct language than it ever did before. In earlier years, the body often tolerated long hours of neglect, poor sleep, emotional stress, and rushed eating without immediate consequence. After 60, that tolerance fades, not because the body has become weak, but because it has become precise. Doctors observe that discomfort, stiffness, fatigue, or slower recovery are not signs of sudden decline, they are signals asking for attention. Biology favors efficiency, and with age, the body stops wasting energy on hiding imbalance. Scientific research shows that aging shifts the body's priorities from growth to maintenance. Cells focus more on repair, inflammation control, and energy conservation. When these systems are supported, strength and clarity improve even later in life. When they are ignored, symptoms appear more quickly. Pain becomes a messenger rather than an enemy. Fatigue reflects depleted recovery systems. Changes in appetite and sleep reveal deeper shifts in hormones and nervous system balance. These messages are not punishments, they are guidance. Listening to the body after 60 means observing patterns rather than reacting to isolated symptoms. Doctors encourage seniors to notice how their body responds to food, movement, rest, and emotional environments. A walk that restores energy rather than exhausts it, a meal that leaves the mind clear instead of heavy, or a night of sleep that deepens after a calm evening routine, these are biological feedback loops at work. The body constantly reports what supports it and what burdens it, but only when someone is willing to notice. Muscles, joints, and bones also speak differently with age. Stiffness often signals the need for gentle motion rather than rest. Weakness reflects inactivity more often than age itself. Studies confirm that muscle tissue remains responsive well into later decades, but it requires consistency, not intensity. When movement is regular and respectful, the body answers with stability and confidence. Ignoring these signals, on the other hand, teaches the body to conserve energy by shutting down strength. Perhaps the most important aspect of listening is emotional awareness. Stress, loneliness, and unresolved tension increase inflammation and slow healing at the cellular level. Doctors now understand that the body registers emotional strain as a physical threat. When the mind feels unsafe, the body tightens, digestion weakens, and recovery slows. Paying attention to how emotions influence physical sensations becomes a form of medical insight. Listening after 60 is not passive, it is an active partnership with the body's accumulated wisdom. After 60, the nervous system quietly becomes the central authority of health, even more influential than muscles, organs, or joints. Doctors observe that many symptoms commonly blamed on aging, poor sleep, chronic inflammation, digestive discomfort, memory lapses, and low energy, are often rooted in an overworked or unsettled nervous system. Biology explains this clearly. The brain and nerves regulate hormones, immune responses, and repair mechanisms. When the nervous system remains in a constant state of alert, the body behaves as if it is under threat, diverting energy away from healing and toward survival. Scientific studies show that prolonged stress increases cortisol levels, which interferes with muscle repair, weakens bones, disrupts blood sugar balance, and accelerates inflammation. After 60, the body becomes less tolerant of these stress hormones, not because resilience disappears, but because the margin for recovery narrows. Sleep becomes lighter, digestion slows, and tissues heal more gradually. Doctors emphasize that calming the nervous system is not a luxury at this stage of life. It is a biological necessity that directly shapes long-term health. The nervous system responds strongly to rhythm and predictability. Regular sleep times, gentle morning light, slow breathing, and consistent movement signal safety to the brain. When safety is sensed, the parasympathetic system activates, allowing repair, immune regulation, and cellular cleanup to occur more efficiently. This is why calm routines often improve blood pressure, joint comfort, and mental clarity without any medication. The body is not being fixed, it is being allowed to do its natural maintenance work. Emotional calm plays a profound role in physical healing. Feelings of fear, loneliness, or constant worry trigger inflammatory pathways that doctors can measure in blood markers. Compassion, connection, and emotional stability reduce those same markers. The body does not separate emotional experience from physical reality. The nervous system translates emotions directly into chemistry. After 60, studies confirm that muscle tissue remains responsive well into later decades, but it requires consistency, not intensity. When movement is regular and respectful, the body answers with stability and confidence. Ignoring these signals, on the other hand, teaches the body to conserve energy by shutting down strength. Perhaps the most important aspect of listening is emotional awareness. Stress, loneliness, and unresolved tension increase inflammation and slow healing at the cellular level. Doctors now understand that the body registers emotional strain as a physical threat. When the mind feels unsafe, the body tightens, digestion weakens, and recovery slows. Paying attention to how emotions influence physical sensations becomes a form of medical insight. Listening after 60 is not passive, it is an active partnership with the body's accumulated wisdom. After 60, the nervous system quietly becomes the central authority of health, even more influential than muscles, organs, or joints. Doctors observe that many symptoms commonly blamed on aging, poor sleep, chronic inflammation, digestive discomfort, memory lapses, and low energy, are often rooted in an overworked or unsettled nervous system. Biology explains this clearly. The brain and nerves regulate hormones, immune responses, and repair mechanisms. When the nervous system remains in a constant state of alert, the body behaves as if it is under threat, diverting energy away from healing and toward survival. Scientific studies show that prolonged stress increases cortisol levels, which interferes with muscle repair, weakens bones, disrupts blood sugar balance, and accelerates inflammation. After 60, the body becomes less tolerant of these stress hormones, not because resilience disappears, but because the margin for recovery narrows. Sleep becomes lighter, digestion slows, and tissues heal more gradually. Doctors emphasize that calming the nervous system is not a after 60, this translation becomes faster and more visible, making emotional care as important as nutrition or exercise. Breathing, often overlooked, is one of the most direct ways to influence nervous system balance. Slow, deep breathing sends signals through the vagus nerve that reduce heart rate and lower stress hormones. Doctors increasingly recommend breath awareness not as a spiritual practice, but as a scientifically grounded tool for regulating blood pressure, digestion, and immune response. When breathing slows, the body interprets the environment as safe, allowing inflammation to settle and recovery to proceed. Calm living does not mean passive living. It means choosing environments, relationships, and habits that do not constantly demand defense. The nervous system thrives on gentleness paired with engagement, curiosity without urgency, and movement without pressure. When the nervous system is supported, the entire body follows its lead, repairing more effectively, aging more gracefully, and responding to life with steadiness rather than strain. After 60, nutrition shifts from a focus on quantity to a focus on precision. Doctors observe that many seniors eat enough food yet remain undernourished at the cellular level. This happens because digestion, absorption, and metabolism change with age. Stomach acid may decrease, enzyme production can slow, and the gut lining becomes more sensitive. As a result, the body may receive calories without receiving the building materials it needs for repair, strength, and mental clarity. Nutrition at this stage becomes less about fullness and more about nourishment. Protein takes on a new level of importance after 60. Scientific studies show that aging muscles require a stronger signal to maintain and rebuild tissue. Without adequate protein, muscle fibers gradually shrink, leading to weakness and loss of independence. Doctors recommend spreading protein intake evenly across meals rather than concentrating it in one sitting. This steady supply supports muscle repair, immune function, and hormone production. Protein is not about bulk, it is about preserving function and resilience. Fiber plays a quiet, but powerful role in senior health. The gut is home to trillions of microorganisms that influence digestion, immunity, and even mood. After 60, maintaining a diverse and well-fed gut microbiome becomes essential. Fiber provides the nourishment these beneficial bacteria need to thrive. When gut health declines, inflammation rises, nutrient absorption weakens, and energy levels fall. Doctors increasingly recognize that many chronic issues begin not in the organs, but in the digestive system. Healthy fats are another cornerstone of nutrition after 60. The brain is largely composed of fat, and joints rely on lubrication to move comfortably. Omega-rich fats support memory, reduce inflammation, and protect cardiovascular health. Scientific evidence shows that diets too low in healthy fats may accelerate cognitive decline and joint stiffness. At this stage of life, fats are not an enemy, they are structural support for the nervous system and connective tissue. Hydration also becomes more complex with age. The sense of thirst weakens, even as the body's need for fluids remains high. Mild dehydration can affect blood pressure, kidney function, and mental focus. Doctors often find that fatigue, dizziness, or confusion improve simply with better hydration. Water supports circulation, digestion, and temperature regulation, all of which become more delicate after 60. Eating after 60 becomes an act of awareness rather than routine. Paying attention to how foods affect energy, digestion, and mental clarity allows the body to guide dietary choices. The body responds not to extremes, but to consistency, simplicity, and care, turning each meal into an opportunity for repair rather than strain. After 60, movement changes its meaning. It is no longer about pushing limits or proving strength, but about maintaining conversation between the body and the brain. Doctors observe that people who stop moving often lose confidence before they lose physical ability. Biology supports this observation. Movement sends signals to the nervous system that the body is still capable, coordinated, and safe. Without these signals, muscles weaken, balance fades, and reaction time slows, not because of age alone, but because communication is lost. Walking becomes one of the most powerful forms of movement in later life. It engages the heart, stimulates circulation, and gently challenges balance without overwhelming the joints. Scientific studies show that regular walking improves blood flow to the brain, supporting memory and attention. Each step activates sensory receptors in the feet that inform the brain about position and stability. This constant feedback helps preserve coordination and reduces the risk of falls, which is one of the greatest threats to independence after 60. Stretching and gentle mobility work protect connective tissue, which naturally becomes less elastic with age. When joints are not moved through their comfortable range, the surrounding tissues stiffen, limiting motion and increasing discomfort. Doctors emphasize that stiffness often signals the need for movement rather than rest. Slow, mindful stretching encourages circulation of nutrients to cartilage and tendons, allowing them to remain supple. This type of movement is not about flexibility for appearance, but about comfort and freedom in daily tasks. Balance training plays a critical role in healthy aging. Standing on one foot, shifting weight slowly, controlled movements challenges the brain's ability to process sensory information. Scientific evidence shows that balance exercises strengthen neural pathways responsible for coordination. This keeps the brain engaged and responsive, reducing the likelihood of falls. Balance is not just a physical skill, it is a reflection of how well the brain and body communicate. Strength training, when done gently and consistently, remains effective even in later decades. Muscle tissue responds to regular use by maintaining size and strength. Doctors recommend lighter resistance with controlled movement rather than heavy loads. This approach protects joints while still stimulating muscle fibers and bone density. The goal is not to build muscle for appearance, but to preserve the ability to stand, lift, and move independently. Movement after 60 becomes a daily affirmation of capability. Each deliberate motion reinforces confidence, stability, and presence in the body. When movement is approached with patience and respect, it supports not only physical health, but also mental clarity, allowing the body to remain engaged with life rather than withdrawing from it. After 60, the body's health becomes deeply intertwined with a person's sense of meaning and connection. Doctors increasingly observe that individuals who feel isolated, unneeded, or disengaged experience faster physical decline than those who remain socially and mentally connected. This is not merely emotional observation, it is biological reality. Human beings are social organisms, and the nervous and immune systems respond directly to the presence or absence of meaningful relationships. Loneliness triggers stress responses that increase inflammation and weaken immunity, while connection signals safety and stability to the body. Scientific research shows that social engagement influences hormone balance and immune function. Positive interactions reduce stress hormones and support the release of chemicals associated with well-being and resilience. When a person feels valued or useful, the brain interprets life as ongoing and relevant, encouraging the body to invest in maintenance and repair. Conversely, when purpose fades, the body subtly shifts into conservation mode, reducing energy for regeneration. Aging accelerates not because of time alone, but because motivation to engage with life diminishes. Mental curiosity also plays a powerful role in physical health. Learning, problem-solving, and creative expression stimulate neural pathways, promoting brain plasticity even in later years. Doctors note that seniors who remain mentally active often maintain better memory, coordination, and emotional balance. The brain thrives on novelty and challenge, and when it is engaged, it sends supportive signals throughout the body. Mental stagnation, on the other hand, mirrors physical inactivity, leading to slower responses and reduced adaptability. Purpose does not have to be grand or external. It may exist in daily routines, caring for others, tending a garden, sharing wisdom, or maintaining a personal practice. What matters biologically is the sense that one's actions have value. This sense influences posture, breathing, and energy levels. When a person wakes with intention, the nervous system prepares the body for engagement rather than withdrawal. Doctors recognize that patients with a clear sense of purpose often recover faster and tolerate illness more effectively. Community plays an essential role in sustaining purpose. Regular interaction, shared experiences, and simple conversations nourish emotional health in ways medicine cannot replicate. The body responds to social warmth with improved cardiovascular function and reduced stress markers. Even brief connections can interrupt cycles of rumination and tension, allowing the body to relax into a healthier rhythm. After 60, health extends beyond physical systems into the realm of meaning. When life feels connected and worthwhile, the body aligns with that message, supporting strength, clarity, and resilience in subtle but powerful ways.